Two of Your Bunch with your hosts, Liliana and Joaquin. I hope you enjoy. Hello, welcome to Two of a Bunch with a fusion with Once Blind. As your hosts for Two of a Bunch, Liliana and Joaquin, and for Once Blind, Carlos, or we're going to call him Boppy. You don't need to call him Boppy. You can call him Carlos.
It's funny how you were like Joaquin and Lily.
I did that?
Yeah, this is pretty funny. I like it.
Me and Joaquin don't get it twisted.
Well, we do look pretty much alike.
Oh, no.
Entertaining.
So you guys said that you wanted to interview and ask questions and so on and so forth as a guest on your show. So I am a guest on your show. Let's get it popping.
Yeah.
Yes. Like he explained, I think want to start with the first question, or will I?
You get to.
All right, good. Sure. Dad, what is one of your many hobbies?
Oof. I'm glad you said many hobbies because I do have quite a bunch. Let's see. Shooting at the range would probably be one of my favorites. But then it's the same thing with fishing and, you know, eventually I'll get into hunting. So basically anything outdoors would be a better, I guess, answer because there's so many things I can do.
What do you think draws you to that?
Probably my Viking nature. I just like to shoot guns and hunt for food and throw axes and whatever it is.
Not sure if we're allowed to carry those in New Jersey.
Darts
Axes? Not in the street, but there's places you can go to and it's like restaurants where you go and you can throw axes and stuff like that. Like that's the main attraction of it.
A little scared now.
Not me. I'm going to go in ragged clothes and tattooed foreheads.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Remind me not to go with you.
He'll get me kicked out.
Yeah.
You'll see him running around in like a costume.
Flipping tables. Kicking people off the chairs. Now you pictured that.
Yes.
All right.
Good thoughts.
Good thoughts.
Good times.
All right. What is your favorite gun?
I would have to say, well, that wouldn't be my favorite. That would just be, if she asked me, do you like guns? I'd say yes, all guns. But I guess the favorite gun in this household, because it's your mom's favorite as well, is the Rhino Chapia that I have. So I think you shot it before too.
I shot it too.
Yeah, you did too, right?
I was shooting the rifle.
I'm never going to shoot a gun again.
Why?
Until weak.
No, because what happened with her is that she was able to do the impossible shots. The only problem is that it's an impossible bad shot. Because there's a line, at the shooting range, there's a line that goes back and forth and it moves the paper back and forth. You remember when we were moving the target back and forth? So she was aiming at the paper at about, I'll give it 25 yards the most, right? It was about 25 yards out. And she shot the gun and hit that line and broke that line completely. Yes.
So she was 70 feet away.
No.
25 yards.
25 times 3 is 75. So, yeah, about 70. Okay. I'll give you that. It's a little wrong, but go ahead. You can smile like that all you want. You were off by 5 feet, but go ahead.
Far. And you shot the thing that is right up there. You're aiming there. How can you shoot?
I don't know.
Like I said, it was the most impossible shot ever.
It's better than that other person I saw on your phone do.
Your grandfather?
No, not grandpa. You showed me a video where this tiny person is holding a gun and she shoots and she goes flying backwards.
Yes. Still, your grandfather is the worst shot I've ever seen.
A retired sniper be that bad?
I don't know.
And he was sniping on skis.
I don't know. All I know is
Guys.
that he kept hitting the wall.
Oh,
And it's funny because he would ricochet off the wall, right? And the debris that came off the wall would hit the paper, and he thought he hit the paper.
For him. His eyes.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not allowed to bring him back.
really?
No, I'm not allowed. He's going to get me kicked out and get me revoked from... It was just that bad.
I wonder if it was his eyesight.
Because he's old and blind? Absolutely.
No, because he just needed a surgery recently.
Yeah, because he's old and blind. I don't know, man. I just don't know.
I would like to use the excuse for the line.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you could use his excuse. You have his eyesight.
Oh.
I hit the camera.
Have you seen? Even with the tiny guns, I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah, but that just takes time.
Okay.
Wait till we go hunting.
Animal's
Gonna be like here, and you're gonna shoot like over there. The tree's gonna fall down and hit the animal.
Hey, it's there.
Bang. Thank you so much. I'm okay. Bang.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Messed up and
The
crude,
only
but
thing
funny.
that if we do go hunting, I'm just afraid that I'd shoot the animal, but not in the right place to kill it.
No, absolutely
Comes
not.
at us. Remember,
You're
the
gonna shoot like
Nigerian-
50 shots, and the animal's gonna be shocked like in place, and then all of a sudden it's just gonna start patting itself down, and then it'll be the first animal you ever see pray to God and be like, "Thank you, God." And then you'll see Jojo running through the woods with an axe, all dressed up like a Viking, talking about some. Ah!
Remember from before.
It's called a callback.
He gets it specifically though.
Ay.
I have a sudden urge to grab a sword now.
You've been had that.
I gotta show you some of my drawings.
Yes, yes, you do.
My berserker drawings I drew.
Oh, pretty cool, pretty cool.
But
You get me concerned.
don't worry, they're just like
All
this.
right.
Behind fire.
All right. So speaking of Vikings,
Yes.
what is your? I can't remember.
Ethnicity?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
So,
in my head, but I couldn't say.
As you know, Mom did the whole DNA thing. From, I can think of before that, my parents are born in Puerto Rico. Their parents are born in Puerto Rico. My mother was adopted, so no one really knows much about her. But at least on my father's side, we go way back. Now, going back to the whole DNA thing that Mom did, I am like 40-something% Scandinavian. They trace me back to, I forget what Viking or whatever it is. I'm like 4% Puerto Rican. I don't know how the heck that happened. I mean, I understand with, colonization and blah, blah, blah. I understand all that. But, like, Scandinavian? Like, out of all things? Like, not Spanish. I'm a little bit more in Spaniard. I'm very little Jewish. And I think that was it. And then they broke down, like, the Scandinavian part because it was the biggest lump that I had. And everything is from, like, that area. So it explains the good looks.
I think it
And the
kind of
long
makes
hair.
sense because if you think about it, everyone came from Adam and Eve,
Mm-hmm.
and then Noah because everybody else died. But we're all Jewish if you think about it. So I think you would be more of like the Asian European.
I wouldn't say we're all Jewish. So,
Yep.
yes, we would come from Noah. Noah had 3 boys, right? Or 3 people that he passed his lineage through. And then from there, out of one of those lineages is where Abraham would come from. But there's still a possibility of the 2 lineages. What I would say is it's highly likely, okay, that a person's going to have some type of Jewish in him because we all trace back to Noah. But it's not to say that Noah was Jewish, but he'd be the originator of that. Because you got to understand, in him splitting 3, there's a lot of him that goes in. So Jewish people will have some of his. So it's not that we trace back to Jewish, it's that we trace back to Noah. And that is something that we have in common with a lot of Jewish people. Because you got to figure, the way they work it out is, how does it trace back, right? And we all trace to one person. And even though I may have more of, Scandinavian, and you guys, because of your mother, have more Argentinian, and so on and so forth, like all these veins, you could kind of consider it veins, kind of spread out, but at the end, they all go back to one place. So we're all going to have certain things. There's a lot of people who have a lot of African in them. And, they say even if it's like 1%, 2%, and you're talking about people that are like see-through, like whiter than me, that have African. And you also have where Jewish comes up a lot. It's actually very interesting because it all proves that the Bible had to have been right.
If they were that white, they definitely weren't from Florida.
Florida's not that bad. Florida's still here in America.
I know, but they can't be that white because there's so much sun.
Yeah, they'll be 10, but just imagine the equator.
Oh. Can't imagine the heat there.
I can't imagine the heat here in the summer in New Jersey, and then to go, oh, thank you.
Florida? No, thank you.
Minnesota's next.
Usually
No way. That's way too cold. Plus, I don't like the Vikings from Minnesota. That's football.
It
took me a second. Like, wait a minute. Wait. Oh.
Oh, and for my friend over there in Minnesota, who is a Vikings fan.
Uh-huh. It's contagious. Don't get mad at me. Look, your turn. Uh-huh.
She asked the last question.
No. Laugh.
So, laugh.
Oh.
It's not going to work.
Ha ha ha.
All right, come on.
All right. The talking made me lose my next question. I remember.
Okay.
You know what? I don't think. All right, I'm just gonna ask.
Okay.
If you could estimate,
okay.
how many weapons would you say you'd have?
Would have or do have?
Do have.
Ugh. Give me a second. Counting.
It's estimating.
Yeah, I know it's estimating. I'm sure I'm going to miss 1 or 2, but I don't want to say I have 10,000. I don't.
13?
13's a good number. 13 is a good number. I mean...
You know, it's 2 different questions. If you have any guns and if you have any guns with you.
Is that a movie?
It's a comedian.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't a movie?
With me? No, because I'm here with you guys. But I can reach a couple from here.
Technically, you can make anything a weapon.
Oh, cool.
You should learn that from watching Jackie Chan, Joe.
You know what my number 1 weapon is? This
That's
big
a good reason.
mallet that I have.
Uh,
Hey, I do jujitsu. I am a weapon.
I still train in Taekwondo.
The movie says, I do karate. I am weapon.
I saw him use a ladder one time to fight people. Mom showed me like a clip in a movie where he uses a ladder to fight people.
There's an old movie. It's called The 36 Chambers, right? The guy fights with bamboo sticks.
Okay.
And yeah, he just beats everybody up with bamboo sticks. And then he made like a little jungle gym. Actually, it's a really big jungle gym. And he uses that to get around so that he can beat people up while he's climbing, moving, and then he hits people with them. It's old movie, so it's not like it's got a lot of, the graphics and all that put into it. But you could tell that the guy definitely had talent because of the way he moved. Again, they didn't have CG, so it's not like he can be in a green screen or anything. This is like legitly his moves. Obviously, they exaggerate the fighting part where he goes, wah, and the person flies away or whatever.
Yeah.
But just the movements and the art of the way he was moving was like, that's pretty cool.
All right, so since we're on that, what is your favorite fighting movie?
Fighting sports or
Like,
so I'll split it for you. Sport wise, boxing, it's Rocky, all the way up to the fourth one. Fighting, where lots of people are just randomly fighting type of thing, it would have to be Braveheart. It's just a great movie all the way around, and I like Mel Gibson, so it makes sense.
Jojo just lost from Mel Gibson.
No.
No.
Freedom. That's what he yells at in the end of the movie. Something like that.
That's actually pretty good.
No, that wasn't bad. I don't know what you're doing.
Did you just do Nanny McPhee?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
He sneezes butts.
If you had one weapon, what would it be?
If I had, I have.
Yes.
If you had to choose between.
no.
Oh, to pick, like, if I were going to buy a new weapon,
Yes. Anything.
anything?
Anything. A spear, a two-handed axe,
What's that?
a machine gun.
Oh, okay.
Anything. Crowbar.
Definitely wouldn't be a crowbar.
Glass bottle.
Why would I? Like, I have all that. I have glass. All I gotta do is bang it on something.
Pet jaguar.
That's not a weapon, but it'd be nice to have a Black Panther.
Big pimple.
Yes.
Not the actor, Joe.
And I could call it T'Challa. Let's see.
Didn't that actor die?
Yes,
How
that
are they
actor
supposed to
died.
continue it?
They'll just find someone else and
They're
say
probably gonna
he
give
got
it
a
to the
makeover.
sister.
Knowing Disney, yes, they're probably going to give it to the sister, or they'll find someone
disappointment.
who likes to dress up like a man and give it to that person. Yeah, let's get off that.
Yeah.
So, weapon I would like to have. I would like to get my hands on an authentic samurai weapon.
Oh. Like
Do
claws.
you know what
No,
that
like an actual katana. But, you could probably buy one today, but it's not authentic. It's not, has no history to it. And samurais, they used to pass their swords and their armor down through generations. And it was a way of you carrying their spirit with you and so on and so forth. Not that I believe in any of that, but I like the stories behind it. So I would like to have either a samurai, right, sword, katana, that had history so that whenever people be like, oh, that's nice, I could be like, well, it has this and this story that goes to it. And it's, from the ghost of Toshima and blah, 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 blah. And that kind of thing.
Instead of saying, like, whoa, where'd you get it? What's the story? eBay in a package.
Pretty much.
you would hope.
I do
You
like
wouldn't use
axes.
it like Sai would.
I would love to get my hands on a true Viking axe, right? Well, that would be more of a berserker, or even a Templar sword. Templar swords were known for being one of the strongest, heaviest things. And that's one thing people don't get about Templars. Templars are, whatever religious, blah, blah, blah. But you gotta understand the armor that they wore, heavy armor in that time. Okay. And then from there, the sword, which was called the long sword, and that was heavy. You got to imagine what type of man it took, okay, to carry all that.
Yeah.
That's why there was never a woman Templar, because they wouldn't be able to carry all that weight. You're talking about an extra 300, 400 pounds on top of a person. And then to swing a sword that's probably 50, 60, maybe even 70 pounds and be very accurate with it. Yeah, I'd like to get but if I get the sword, I'd like the whole outfit and then have it like in the corner of the game room or whatever.
You said like 70,
Knight
60
swords
pounds.
could be
And I thought Jojo.
arms
And I couldn't swing
and
him.
as heavy as a bicycle.
What happened?
Knight swords can be the length of 2 grown men's arms and as heavy as bicycles.
Yes.
So basically 100 pounds.
It can be about that, but I don't know any bicycles that go into the hundreds.
Like motorcycle bicycle?
No, he's talking about a bicycle. Motorcycle bicycles can be anywhere from 300 and above.
Whoa.
But just
Obviously, I've
imagine,
never
right?
driven.
Imagine having to pick up your bicycle, right, from one side of it, like the tire or whatever, and being long and trying to hold it out.
I can only carry my bicycle like this.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. Imagine having to hold something as heavy as even your small bicycle. Because the people who would say a bicycle, they probably mean like a 10-speed, full, almost not steel, but like a composite metal where it's mixed with other things. But imagine, just really imagine having to hold your own bicycle, right? That little mountain bike thing you have. If obviously the tire would roll, but if the tire would stay still and you had to hold it out like this, you couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. It's pretty cool.
That's rough.
I'd probably put it in the line again.
Well, now you know why they were very feared, combatants, because they knew what strength it took to do the things that they did.
Like I said, the best armor and I think the best weapon you might say is that sword, but no. It's like an axe that big. It can go through armor and flesh.
Oh, nice. Well, flesh is easy to go through.
Yeah. If I had 2 weapons, I'd have one of those axes, then a Viking shield, because they can go through skulls.
What?
Yes.
Why would you want to put it?
If I was a warrior, Liliana.
But that's not what you
Logic.
asked me. The question would have been better than what type of warrior would you have liked to have been?
Like,
And then
Weapons.
what weapons would you carry as that warrior?
that's a good idea.
Yeah. But you see, all through history, I got to show you. There's this show that is on, used to be on TV years ago. And they would pin a warrior from one time and another time. And they would see, like, statistically and computerized and, all these algorithms go into it. And they would pin them against each other. They would make it like a cool little video. And they would see who would win or whatever, a Templar or, someone from, like, William Wallace's day and all different. A Scott, someone from Zulu Nation versus whatever. It was pretty interesting. And I was like, man, they should put, like, a Navy SEAL against one of these guys, and he'll just snipe them from far.
You know the winner.
Aztec or Navy SEAL. Ow!
Ooh, oh, why?
I surrender!
It's a little French comedy for you there.
Well, why do you think the Indians got beat by the Americans so easily?
Because they had better tactics. The Indians had guns at the time.
Huh?
The Indians had guns at the
What
time.
did they call them?
Not
Fire
all of them.
sticks?
Magical fire sticks.
Yeah, but they didn't have them all the time. They had to buy them afterwards and trade for them.
Good point.
So imagine the first couple of wars where they're going out there and, or even to like try to hit him with a bow, and this dude goes, pow, oops, done.
K.O.
I just imagine George Washington being like, finish him. No.
Don't know if he had that video game at that time.
Obviously not.
Was being sarcastic.
I know that.
Now I see John Adams and George Washington playing that.
Listen, if this is the sad part, if we took the Americans from today and we would put them at war then, they'd literally be like this. Hold on. Ho. Wait, ho. I can you know how to speak to him? Google Translate, please.
You forget to shoot.
It's like I was playing a game. I can't go after you right now. Like, hold on. I can't pause these games.
Wait, let's go finish this level. All the Indians looking over his shoulder. Are you done? Yeah, go back to your place. Where's my gun? They took it. Oh, come on.
How did you get that bird to hit the pig? And we're complete.
You moved a piece of tiny little candy and exploded. Ow.
That's funny. Because there's a lot of TV shows where they do the whole kids go back in time and then they might say something that happens in the future and the people from back then are like, what, really?
Yeah.
But there's a show we like watching, the Teletwins, the brand new show. It's really funny. and they go back in time and they see Benjamin Franklin, I want to say. Yeah, and the grandma of these two kids gives him a $100 bill because she owed him.
Yeah.
He's like, do I become a president?
And then the girl was like,
And the grandma's like, let him have this.
Absolutely, Benjamin.
Mama's like, that's terrible. What if he dies? He dies disappointed.
He's like 90 years old, right? In his deathbed, talking about maybe this is where I become
President.
Ben, you're... Oh. Next.
Maybe they'll make me a president in heaven.
No.
All right, since we're talking about Ben Franklin,
Yes.
what is one of your favorite historical figures? And you cannot do a cap out and go to Jesus or Paul.
Fine.
No Bible times.
No Bible times. Okay. Can it be from the Bible, though? Or are you talking about American history or stuff like that?
Nothing that has to do with the Bible.
Oh, my goodness. Why are you doing this to me?
Because I know it's either going to be Paul.
No, I could have went to Caleb. Okay, so because you made that face, right? It won't be my answer, but I'll tell you why Caleb is a beast. Caleb was from the time of Moses and Joshua. They just got out of Egypt. They're in the wilderness. Now God commands Moses to go out and start scouting the land that he's going to be taking over. So he sent out 12 men from the 12 tribes, Joshua and Caleb being two of them. Mm-hmm. Joshua goes to, I forget what land, and he sees that there are giants, that this and that, but he comes back with good news. It is a land of milk and honey, talks about the vegetation, the way they were growing things, that it is a very good land that God has given them. Awesome. Caleb also comes back, but Caleb went to the land of giants, right? And he goes there and he sees these big, massive human beings, right? And all the things that would be scary. And he comes back and he's like, nah, man, it's really good land. Like, I went, the waterfall, this, that. He just basically said that the land, again, was blessed with milk and honey. The other 10 came back and said, no, the Atkins, the this, the that, everybody's there. Oh, no, it's too scary. There's no way we can do it. There's no way. Now, this wasn't the first time they went to war. They saw that God was with them, right? The war before they even went to go scout that, it was so miraculous because everyone knew that if Moses kept his arms up, that he would then, they would win. But if he started to drop his hands, they would start to lose. So 2 people had to hold his arms up in order for them to win, and that's how they won. So knowing and seeing all the miracles that God has done, even up to that point, for them to go in there and be scared is like, they're not trusting God. So Caleb and Joshua were the only ones of that generation, okay, that were allowed to enter. They had to walk around the desert for 40 years while everyone started to die off. So at the age of 80, okay, now they're collecting. So he was 40 then, he's age 80. At that point is when they're starting to, conquer lands and get their property that God had promised them. And Caleb was told that he would get the land that he scouted. Mm-hmm. So at 80 years old, he goes to Joshua, who's now in charge of everyone. He took over after Moses. And he says, hey, God said he's going to give me the land that I step foot in, that's going to be mine. Joshua says, go get it. So at 80 years old, this dude suits up, goes out there to go to war. And he, with God being his, helper through it all, he conquered that land. He didn't doubt for 1 second. He didn't say, I'm old or complain, nothing. Like, he was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go do that. And it was his faith and his strength in God. I mean, if I could conquer a land at 80 years old, like, yeah, I made it. He's a beast. But American figure that to me, or even a historical figure outside of the Bible, see, there are a couple people, like I would love to say William Wallace, right? He was the main character of Braveheart. But Mel Gibson didn't really stick to the true story because that would have been just a boring one. William Wallace was more of a politician and so on. But if William Wallace from Braveheart was real, I would like to say him. I would love to say Ragnarsson, who was one of the Vikings that they tell so many stories about, and no one really knows if he actually existed. But someone that we know of, I would have to say, this is difficult. I'm raffling like 100 names in my head right now. I'd probably have to say George Washington. I would really have to say George Washington because you guys explained it on your show already, so I won't get on great detail. But imagine a man who comes from nothing, minimal education, which we have that in common. He had to drop out of school to help out, and I basically dropped out of school for not wanting to go. But minimal education, and then being able to, he made it all the way up to president. He did learn a lot from the Indians, which showed his intelligence. He went from mapping out areas to the president of the country. He never denied the hand of God in all of it. He pretty strong through everything as a president, even though they tried to give him that third term. He was like, no, because, what are we doing here? We're trying to create another king or another, tyranny. And no, I don't want that. Let someone else step in. And I really, really like that his character was always solid. So.
It's funny that they say that the people who somewhat knew George Washington loved him, but the people that knew him best loved him the most.
Well.
Which is, in your case, that we could say that, but if it was like somebody else, the people that know him best know their secrets, their dark stuff, and how bitter they can be. So those people might not love them as much as people who just see him on the outside.
Well, that's right now what's going on with a lot of Christian pastors throughout this country. You hear about them, you read about them. They're celebrity pastors, as I call them. And what happens is from the outside view, you think it's funny because I actually had to apologize to the people who go to Once Blind because I kept saying that one person was like a good character from what I knew. From what I knew from the outside, I don't go to their church. It's far away. And it was like, yeah, this guy's great. And then I find out that for 20 years, they've been abusing a family. And it's like, I just said you were great, bro. I got to take that back. I got to eat my words. So I get that because us from the outside, we only see the good. And the good is what normally spreads, people want to spread out, especially if they're a figure of, some type of headship. He's the president of the country. This guy was, they would probably call him the father of the reformers for this time. So, yeah, the people closest to you would be the people that would know all your dirt.
Since we were just talking about churches and how pastors can sometimes be faulty, what would you say is one of the main, let's say, church abuses? Not it's kind of a hard question to ask, but
spiritual abuse?
No, but something that the community, they're supposed to be leaders, right? The pastors and all that's supposed to be leading fails in a lot of the time.
Here in this country, yes.
Okay. What is something that you've experienced very often between, pastors? We've been to many churches before.
All right. So in a lot of churches, in a lot of the places we've been, there's been this type of character as if they are untouchable and they're allowed to do whatever they want, say what they want, mistreat people, they belittle people, they act a certain way, and it's okay because they're allowed. They're the leader of the church. And I think that's one of the biggest things on spiritual abuse, which is something we talk about in our show. People who abuse that position. It's like people, if you talk to the world, right, they'll say, oh, cops abuse their power, government abuses their power. well, pastors and elders and so on, in a lot of places, they feel like they've gotten to a point where now they're allowed to abuse people.
Is it the power that makes them think that?
I believe it's the power. It's how much people honor them, and they treat them like if they were, the anointed one or the great one. And it's almost like they forget, who Jesus was. And instead of holding them to that standard, because Jesus is, the head of the body, he's the example to all pastors. It's like, I don't care how Jesus did it. I'm in this position, so I'm going to be, I'm going to soak in all the glory.
If you would be in a room with someone, I can say a historical figure, but someone, and have a conversation like what they did and why they did it.
Like, who would you want to interview?
Yeah, but like back in the day. Like if I'd interview someone, I'd interview.
You want to answer this question for me?
That is not in the Bible.
No, well, Jesus. So not in the Bible?
Actually, that would make perfect sense.
Be awesome to sit here with Jesus.
Yeah. Technically, we're always sitting with Jesus.
Amen. Amen. I'll give you a pound for that. Amen.
She gets money out.
So, non-Bible?
Yes.
Man, why do you guys always got to do that to me?
Because you're going to cop out.
That's not a cop-out. I admire a lot of the people that are in the Bible.
That's why we need to hear other opinion.
Okay, so historical figures outside of the Bible that I would love to interview. I'd have to go to the same answer as you. If Ragnar was real, him. If William Wallace was the character, not the person who he actually was. So let's leave William Wallace out of it. If Ragnar Ragnarsson was real, I'd love to talk to that man. Okay. There is, you go throughout history. Spurgeon would be a person I'd like to speak to. Let's see. I'd like to speak, I guess the most, if I can pick a person. Christopher Columbus. I'd go with Christopher Columbus because there's so much drama that goes into who he is. There's so many different things that now people are trying to teach and people are trying to push and, they're trying to lie and they're trying to defame his character. And there's so many things that go on with Christopher Columbus. I'd love to sit down and be like, all right, what really happened?
He thought a manatee was a mermaid once.
Really?
Yeah, on a boat.
I thought that was Marco Polo.
Nah.
Because it wasn't he the
Did
one?
it yell out Marco and he was like, Polo?
I wonder who came up with that game.
Marco
It
Polo.
was Marco. His parents were calling him Marco and he's like, Polo. No.
Oh, that's fun. We should play that on the boats. Or in the water. Where it falls in.
Genghis Khan.
Oh.
I'd like to talk to Genghis Khan, man.
Probably need to take all his weapons before we talk to him.
Absolutely.
in a box.
Absolutely. Be like, hey, I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that. Leave that there. Yeah. I like it. Yeah. No.
Make Muck the one of those machines.
What?
Do I leave everything?
Yeah, everything. Bro, I'm not going to sit next to you and you're holding on to that sword. Like, what the heck?
I do it all the time.
I don't care.
And when
I'm having
you
second thoughts.
Good. Okay. I'm trying to live.
I'm trying to live. That's why I have my sword.
I got no weapons in there. Here,
why can't I
I'll
have
give
a
you this
sword?
pea shooter and you can hold on to this.
you just shoot extra piece.
You can put your hands down now, bro.
Good.
Let's be silly for a second.
Okay.
Who? So we could have this on film.
Okay.
Who is your favorite kid? Your favorite child?
No. Don't
Yes.
do that. Don't
I
do
know.
that.
Wait, before you answer, I'm gonna ask Jojo. Who do you think it is?
Vida.
I'm gonna say Luna.
Man, my favorite child.
Yeah.
You both have very, very good guesses.
Gideon?
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay.
Boss.
Aw. Okay.
You like how I got that cop out?
Yes. I was like, wait a minute. There was something I forgot to imply here.
Yeah, no, that's it. It's all over. Yeah, look,
That's creepy to me.
I'll put it to you like this, and most parents wouldn't be honest about this. There are things that you love and hate about a child. A child, not your child, not the child, not whatever. Every child has a specific character, and there are things you love about them. There's things you less like about them, whatever, however anyone wants to word it, right? No child is perfect. And you 7 here are very individual characters. So if you said, who was my favorite to go fishing with? Who's my favorite to go and do this activity or that with? I can pick who's my favorite. Okay. And that also has to do with the things that you like. See, to go with I've taken most of you shooting. Some of you liked it. Some of you loved it. It was good times, but, I could say who my favorite one in that was. And it was really you shooting the ceiling. Like, that was awesome. Okay.
I'll do better next time.
No, absolutely. Fishing. I love the fact that Nehemiah is really like, we give him the crappiest fishing pole, right? And he's just the happiest kid in the world. Just puppy right there, puppy right there, puppy right there. Like, yeah, some people might think that's annoying. I love the fact that all you guys do it, but he's asking for like my affirmation because that makes him happy. And it's, Gideon is the badass. Like, he's bad. He's bad. And I enjoy that, right? Jojo's the biggest character. Okay, he's always telling jokes or trying to tell jokes. Notice the trying to tell jokes. But he doesn't give up. He's always trying to bring laughter and smiles to everyone. Luna is my most serious one.
Yes.
In the sense of, like, she's seriously scary.
Yes. I can sleep at night until 12 until...
You guys wait till she falls asleep before you go to sleep.
Yes.
No, she keeps me awake.
No, but she's like the most serious in the sense of, like, she'll give it to you straight, whether you like it or not. That's a character.
I love that about little kids.
But she does it so much more. She does it, like, almost to the point where sometimes you're like, you okay? What's wrong with you?
Are you supposed to say that?
Like, that's what you keep inside. You don't say that out loud.
That's funny, because the other day, we went, Vida, Luna, and I went to a gun shop so you could check out a gun.
Yes.
And we go in there, and they have this slogan, their Logan. I said slogan by accent. Logo. That was it.
Yes.
And it's... The logo is a skull with a beard, and it's got an S in it for their
name.
Yeah. And I thought it was actually kind of cool. And Luna was like, "That's really weird. It's creepy." I was like, "You can't say that inside their logo." She's like, "Why? It's creepy." And Luna was like, "Oh, it's creepy."
You by the counter. This thing's creepy. Yeah, I'm talking to
That would
you.
have been bad.
But I wouldn't put it past her. I wouldn't put it past her. She's the type of person you don't ask, do I look fat in these jeans? Because she'd be like, really? Like, a lot. Maybe hit the gym before you put them on?
Sweats for now.
Yeah. Unbuckle a couple of those buttons. It's not going to make you skinnier. No. Like, and I love that about her character because Mom is like that. I am like that. Though me and Mom struggle with not always holding back what we shouldn't say, right? She just has no filter. and I love that about her. Vida is very sweet. She's always thinking about Daddy, and she's always trying to, please us by helping us in whatever we can. You're Mom's number one. Like, you're the right hand. And, that's what I love about you is that you're always looking to bless your mother and help your mother, knowing how hard her job is. That for me is like, wow, that's my girl. Like, I see that, and you have taught that to the other girls because in this house, it's you, Lily, you are Lily, Luna, Vida, and Mom. You guys are the ones that basically run this whole house in the sense of everything in this house gets done because of you guys. yeah, the boys supposedly help. But it's you girls that are taking care of everything in this house, whether it's cooking, cleaning, all those things. Who's left? Matthew is left. Matthew's a big kid, right? And he helps a lot with groceries, and I don't have to. Matt is a unique character because Matt has his moments where when he's not trying to impress me, he's actually a really good guy. But he's got that first child syndrome where he thinks everything he has to do, he has to answer it or say it or even do it to try to please me. And I don't like that he loses who he is in trying to prove to me that he is what he thinks I want, But when he puts all that aside and he's just being who he is, it's such a lovable character. He's a sweetheart. He's kind. And again, to me, not to you guys. But, the other day we're playing basketball. Without me having to say nothing, he took off running to go help the elderly man next door to take out his trash. Like, those are the things that he does. And he thinks that people aren't paying attention. But I see that and I'm like, you know what? I have faith that he's going to be a good man someday. Right now he's just a punk kid. But, as a teenager, I just see what type of man he's going to be. And I love that about him. He's got a good heart. He's just got to deal with, learning how to deal with annoying siblings. And so each one of you has something in their character that I just love. So I can't really pick one favorite. And if you had to ask who's my favorite person in this house, it's always going to be your mother.
I remember when we were moving, Luna asked you that question, and she thought you were going to say Vida, but you said Luna? She was like, what, really?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, then Jojo, then Gideon, then Vida? No, Gideon, you might, then Vida. And we were like, what?
Yeah, and if she would ask me 5 minutes later, I would have gave her a different list.
I remember Dad telling me that I was coming in with the little plastic
Because
drawer.
he was like, it's me. And then you said Luna, and he was like,
No, I was there. I remember I was bringing the little plastic drawers like that big. For some apparent reason, for plastic is heavy. And I'm coming in, and Dad's like, "Yes, this is why you're my second favorite." And I look at him.
when did I get demoted?
Thank you. I think. Who's your first?
I will say you have taken a lot of my humorous characteristics. The same person you are today is who I was when I was your age. I was always trying to make people laugh, always trying to be the clown. And that was my thing. Like, I wanted to make people laugh, and I just would do silly things and act silly. And it is. So that's kind of why I don't necessarily get upset when you just keep going. It's like, it's serious time. We're at a funeral. Let's not dance on the tombstone or anything.
Ooh,
like,
Smarties.
Huh?
It's a comedian that he likes.
Okay.
That would totally be you.
So that's basically like who he is. So I understand the character that you have. But again, I can't sit here and say you're my favorite all the time, because you're not. You go through certain moods and it's like, yo, what's wrong with her? Like, someone needs to punch her in the head. Like,
That's
what's
the
wrong?
whole first hour of the day for her. She's like the Grinch for the whole first hour of the day.
I'm the Grinch when it comes to Christmas all the time. And Halloween.
Matt!
And Easter.
Get it, Max. Matt.
No, it's funny because since she's the older girl, she tries to act like mom, right? And she doesn't understand that mom has power. Mom can act like mom.
No,
She's
I
not
yell
mom.
because they know I'm not mom and they won't listen any other way.
Yeah, but you're not their mom.
I know, but sometimes it's like, guys, you're not supposed to do that. And they just keep on doing it. Like, guys, you really shouldn't be doing that. You're going to get in a ton of trouble. And they just keep on doing it. And it goes on my last nerve.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
guys,
you go to your mother and you say, Mama, poor mama, this boy's being an idiot. Can you help me, please?
Ma, please have some moral support.
I will say so I only had 2 siblings. And your mom had, I don't know if you
3.
can call them siblings. But we'll say siblings for the title's sake. But like me and my older brother didn't fight a lot. There were fights. But me and Jose would get into a lot of physical altercations. I got to say, at least you guys are more of a unit than we are. Can't talk about your mom's family because then it passes the PG-13 aspect of the show because they were just abusive in every way. Being that she was like 10 years younger than everybody, they all treated her like dirt. But with my brother, like we would fight all the time. And I'm like, wow, my kids haven't drawn blood yet. Like maybe we're doing better than my parents or my dad at least. So kudos to me. No.
Yes. Dad gets the dad award.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at other kids and I'm like, they say us homeschoolers are sheltered.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're sheltered, I really hope everyone gets as sheltered as we get.
I'm like, I look at
What's
other
wrong
people's
with
kids
you?
and I say, and I want to say out loud, instead of, are you sure you should be doing that?
Although I've seen some kids that are bad, but they don't realize that they're being bad. So it kind of makes me feel bad for them because their parents aren't parenting the right way. Like there was a kid that used to pick on Jojo, but she had ADD, and that's kind of what they do to get their amusement. Plus, her mom never told her not to do it. So she genuinely thought she was being friends with Jojo.
Well,
And Jojo's like, no, she's not. She wasn't friends with me or my friends.
Oh no. All the
I will tell you, when girls tend to beat up boys, it's because they like them.
She did with every boy in the class.
Oh, well, there's a word for that we can't say right now.
Oh, there wasn't. I genuinely, because I went up to her and I told her not to do that because Jojo told me. And she was like, oh, I thought we were being friends. And then I thought maybe she was just trying to like say it because I'm the older sister. But then the other, like, mine was like maybe 2. So who's acting awful. He didn't get his nap. Plus, you knew we had to leave at 6 to get to co-op. And like he's pulling my hair, and I'm at the point of like I genuinely want to scream at him. And she comes, she grabs him from me, she pets him, and he calms down. I'm like, how did you do that?
He's a puppy. Here, boy, calm down.
She goes, oh, I've got little brothers. I was like, what?
Worse than that.
Genuinely impressed. But you have some kids like her who don't realize that they're being bad because they weren't taught any better. And then you have some kids who are just jerks.
What were your main thoughts on when you were trying to get the boat?
Something I can get all my kids on and go fishing. And I can afford. That's why it's so little.
It's a nice boat, though.
Because it fits all of us. That's all that matters.
True.
I mean, we can't go on no like ocean escapade. We can't go in the ocean at all, but we can all get on it. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want to buy something where I had to exclude a child or say so-and-so can't go or, hey, I got to divide half the kids now and half the kids later. It's something we can all go on. We can fish. We can get on the water, travel. Very little, obviously, in certain areas, rivers, lakes, and be able to enjoy the day as a family. So that would be the first thought I had about it.
What is your favorite part about fishing?
Normally, the peace and quiet. Normally.
So you can't go with us, then.
No, it's... Fishing is an interesting sport because it's literally called fishing, right? You're just throwing something out there and hoping, okay, something bites. There are hours, you can go days that you don't catch anything. And then people are like, well, why even go back? Because it's the possibility. Everyone has a tendency to want to gamble, right? Healthy ways of gambling are ways that you don't take away from the family, that type of thing. So when I know people hear gambling, it's like, oh, but we all gamble, right? We all take risks. We all
Chinese food today.
Huh?
Chinese food today. I knew he was going to say it.
I eat Chinese food.
Okay. So everyone has a form of gambling. So what happens in fishing is that you're gambling whether today will be the day that you catch a fish. 2 fishes, 3 fishes, whatever it may be. So you go out with the anticipation of maybe today I'll catch one. And possibility is that you might not catch anything. So it feeds that desire in me as a man to want to risk, to gamble, to anything. And, if I catch a fish, hey, we got dinner.
If they're big enough.
Well, I don't eat fish, so you guys
Yeah.
have more than enough.
I only catch your bunker fish.
You can't eat those.
Really?
Can't eat bunker.
I don't know what a bunker is, though.
Yeah, I know you don't know.
The science you could.
But bunker is a trash fish. Yeah, you got to go for like deeper fish because they're the ones that eat the fish. Bunker eat all the bacteria on top of the water. So when you cut into that and you go to eat it, it tastes
Gross.
yucky because it feeds on bacteria and algae and stuff like that. Not very good. Bluefish are very oily as well, so you don't want that.
Wait, now I'm thinking of fish oils.
It's not only blackfish and
Country club.
striper fish. Really?
Yes, those are good eaters.
I think someone took a bite out of one of my fish. When I set out the live, no, when I set the real bunker fish that I caught, I remember. Do you remember when
You didn't catch it; you snagged it.
whatever. When I snagged it,
tomato. I've heard the birth ways.
and I remember I had it out, and then I'm just waiting, and then it goes. Whew. And I know it wasn't the fish because I hugged it through the eye. I remember I kind of like tapped it for fun.
Viking
I said,
spirit.
"Don't be a jerk." And then next one, you wanted me to poke it through the eyes. Either way, and I'm like, "Dad, what did I do?" And he said, "Pull the lever," and I did that. And I just felt like a whack, like it, like some. So it was like tug of war.
It didn't bite. No, you have the current. And so you throw the fish out there. It's supposed to swim and catch a bigger fish. And what happens is the current's pulling it one way. We're moving another way. So the minute that you stop the line from feeding it, it's going to feel like it's jerking because now you've stopped it and now you're going against the current. Yeah. You didn't have a bite, buddy. But hey, if you want to tell yourself you got a bite.
You have it on film.
I got a bite. I remember I set out one of those little plastic ones, and when I reeled it back in, it was in half.
Yes.
It was a bunch of
That was a bite.
bite marks.
Yes, that was a bite.
We were like, "What?" So you
Really,
took out the hook.
Sherlock?
Yeah. Who was it that hooked me? Was it you or Matt? Somebody hooked me.
When you guys were on the boat, and we went, because I remember somebody hooked you when we weren't on the boat.
When we went off the shore.
I think that might have been me, though.
Maybe. I don't remember.
I remember one time we went fishing off the boat. They went backwards, and they forgot to hold the thing, so the line just went backwards. And either caught you or Matt.
Did I catch something? Yeah. At least you know he's such a catch.
Just don't throw me back. Aye.
Let's go back to movies. What's your favorite Christian movie?
My favorite Christian movie. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da.
Superman is not.
Oh, Christian movie. Absolutely not. Especially the new ones.
Oh.
So let's see. My favorite Christian movie. War was a good one. God's Not Dead was good. Oh, how about I don't do a movie and it's a series?
Okay.
The Chosen.
Chosen.
Yeah, I knew it.
The Chosen is it's a good movie, good
Serious.
series. They do take a lot of poetic freedoms, but it was very well done, and they sent out to make a good Christian movie. Because what happens is in Christian movies is you don't get A actors, you get like B actors. Let's face it, sometimes they're more like actors. They're not even like good at all. And they usually will have the same people over and over again.
Hey, they're just using the same actor.
Over and over and over again. And he's not even that good of an actor.
Even Disney does that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Well, that's the problem. You know, when you try to copy Disney, and Disney is not that good as it is. So, yeah, with The Chosen, they don't have famous people in there. But they're good actors. It's good cinema. They took time to record things and really like make it as authentic as they could, scenery wise, and it was really well done. Like I like God's Not Dead as if we were gonna say movie, right? Hercules, which you guys don't know why Kevin Sorbo played Hercules in a series. Yes, and really good actor. Really good actor. The guy, I think his name is like A.R. White or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
He is horrible. Horrible actor. And they put him in like a lot of the lead characters in these movies. And it's like, no, like he's horrible. You know, keep Kevin Sorbo. The guy who played Superman, he was in God's Not Dead either.
Really?
In the series. He played Superman in the series. I think his last name is Kane or something like that. I'm not good with names. He was the one at the end of the movie. He's talking to his mother, and he says to her, look at me. Your life is horrible. You have dementia, and you pray to God every day. Look at my life. My life is great. My life is this. My life is that. I'm on top of the world, you know, and I have no God. Like, who's getting the short end of the stick here? And then she like snaps out of her dementia for like 5 seconds to really give the most powerful line in any cinema I've ever watched. And it was the sense of, what did she say? She said, some people are in a prison and they choose to stay in the prison. They can easily walk out because the door is open and they can go about it, but they're distracted by the things that feed their flesh. But eventually that prison door closes and they can never get out. And then she like, who are you? I was like, wow. Whoever wrote that, good job. Mm-hmm. But again, they picked the worst actors. God's Not Dead 2 put in, I forget what her name is. Horrible actor as the main actor. And I'm like, ugh. Like, people who overact should not act. And that's the one thing with a lot of Christian actors is like, they're trying to be the best.
I wouldn't say that woman's Christian.
I don't know. Maybe she is. Maybe she isn't. I don't know. So either way, a lot of these EDF actors are like trying to overdo it. And it's like, you're not on Broadway. You're not on, you know, why do you look like you're about to break out into a musical? It's just badly done. So with The Chosen, you don't see that type of acting. And that's the thing, like, I don't know how many times they do it over and over again, but they really did such a good job in just the way they put it all together. It's almost like what people would say legit movie should look like.
You know they're making a fourth God's Not Dead movie?
Really?
It's supposed to be about homeschooling.
Wow. They just can't seem to end that, can they?
27th.
No, but I'm actually kind of excited.
I mean, we
about
get it. God's not dead. I get it. God will never be dead. But your movie should die at some point.
I'm actually kind of excited for that movie.
Why?
Because in the trailer that I saw, it's they're trying to put these two parents in prison for not putting their kid in school.
Ah.
And so they have, again, kind of like the second movie where they have this big court debate.
Yeah.
That one I'm kind of excited.
Well, the third one, I think that's all about the fact that the government's trying to control what's being taught in the churches. Mm-hmm. So the third one's a court system thing as well. See, what I liked about the first one is that we are in an age where it's not only with Christianity, it's just agenda period. So in the first one, you had a professor who is trying to pass his agenda, and someone stood up to him. And again, though it was based on, you know, God being dead according to him, in colleges today, that's all you have is a professor trying to pass whether his liberal agenda, his this agenda, his socialist agenda, his religious thought agenda. That's real life. And the way they kind of went about it was, all right, it's kind of cute. You know, I mean, it wouldn't work in real life because he'll just flunk you and kick you out of the school. Yeah. But it was pretty cool to see that. The second one was the teacher who answered a question about Jesus, and she got, not even about Jesus, answered a question about in that time, the person misquoted someone, and she said, Jesus is the one that said that, and this is what he meant by it. Again, she wasn't giving a sermon, she wasn't preaching, but she just answered the question. She got in trouble. That happens a lot. The third one, I think the third one had to do with, because they ended the movie and they were kind of like niching at that was going to be the third one. And it was a sense of, and it is going on still, where government in certain states is trying to control what comes off the pulpit. So you can't talk about sin, you can't talk about this. And if you do, your tax exemption goes away. Which for me, in real life at least, take your tax exemption. I'm not going to change who I am and what I teach. I'm going to teach the Bible for what the Bible is, so on and so forth. You can keep your tax exemption. You know, why are we holding on to money?
I think in the second movie they said they were actually going to put him to prison, whoever bring in their
Hand over their sermons?
Yeah.
No, they were going to remove their tax exemptions in real life.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. The exaggeration of certain things is kind of crazy. Like, the idea is that that's some form of persecution, right? What is persecution? Someone attacking you for what you believe. And here in America, people want to take away our taxes, or we got to pay taxes, or we got to do this. And they say mean things to me like, you're not being persecuted. People were being hung. People were being burned alive. People were being beaten, thrown in oil. They were thrown into gladiator pits. Like, there was so many life-changing, things that were going on. And today we're like, oh, he called me a bad name. It's like, oh, stop it. So I hate that when they keep doing that in movies, where it's like, whatever. And if you're going to make a movie about something like the homeschool one, be for real. Like, yeah, it is the government that's coming after us homeschoolers, right? But how do they do it? Okay, they're not going to throw, like, if that happened with us, they're not going to throw me and mom in jail for it. They're going to take you into the system, and then they're going to divide you amongst different homes and so on and so forth, because they don't want you guys continuing the traditions that have been instilled. Like, keep it real. They're not going to throw me and mom in jail. It's not going to happen. So, but because we won't let them take you, that's why I'd go to jail. And then we'd move to like Nebraska or something.
Missouri,
yes. Missouri.
Mom said if you ever move to Missouri, she could finally say, I live in the state of misery.
Yes. And she wouldn't be lying. No. Oh. All right.
capital failure.
What else you guys have for me?
All right. Why don't we talk a little bit about your podcast? Why did you start the podcast? What was your main reason
for starting the podcast? Okay. Well, it was influenced by your mother. You know, mom was definitely she's my biggest supporter in everything I do. So I didn't really have the idea of doing a podcast at all. And being that we were taking a break from ministry, she wanted me to have an outlet of everything that I was studying or going through, or what she considers to be wisdom that I've learned through years of ministry, and to be able to share it. And she saw all the people that were online doing podcasts, and a lot of it is just fluff or just like what they would call clickbait and so on and so forth. Clickbait being, hey, you know, this cool thing about Jesus, and then you click on it and it's just someone rambling on about something else.
Oh.
So they had that. You had false teachers on there. You had the celebrity pastors that everyone watches, and the fact that no one was calling them out. There's so many things that were going on. And she was like, you've gone through ministry, you've done this, and yada, yada, yada. You should share that with people. You're always mentoring people. Why not just randomly throw it out? And it's also for the purpose that I am going to die if God tarries one day. And there'll be something for you guys to go back to and be able to, glean from. So it was like, all right, cool. And then, again, she encouraged it. So I finally said, all right, cool. The point of the podcast is really to help people deal with spiritual abuse. We talk a lot about it. We do a Bible study on Acts, which I haven't done in a while, which I'll get back to. We talk about homeschooling. We talk about the things that are going on in society today and politics and things like that. Because as Christians, we should be involved in politics. Then, it's almost like a lot of things, but through the magnifying glass of Christianity and true Christianity, not this stuff we have in this country today.
I feel like sometimes in today's age, that there are certain things that happen.
Okay.
That Christians kind of like, there's a word I'm looking for, and I can't think of it. Like, they're like, oh, whatever. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, they pass.
Okay, so I kind of get what you're saying. The acceptance of sin in churches today, right, is mind-boggling. Whether it was through, and see, this is why for this particular channel, it's not good, okay? Because you can't talk about, you got to find clever ways of saying people who harm children in the womb, right? You can't really outright talk about it, because then this domain here will be a tyrant and say, nope, shut you down. So you can talk about how the church has really backed off a lot in defending those children that are being harmed. You can talk about people's preference in who they marry and what they want to marry, but you can't do that either, because then they'll shut you down. And there are churches today that are more accepting, and they call them progressives. And it's just, no, you're taking away from the Bible. You're saying that when the Bible says these things are sins, or we should not do these things or be a part of these things, for the sake of being accepted by the society and the world, which is interesting. Who's in charge of the world? The enemy is. So you want to appease the enemy's system by taking away from God's system and God's economy and what God wants for his people. You're trying to appease the enemy. Like, come on, are you serious? So there's many things that I can bring up today that's going on today. One of the easiest ones, and we won't get shut down for, is money. Okay, the love of money.
Oh.
And it's, we're doing all these things to create more money. And it's not that they want to hold the money. It's the sense of, let's get this for the church because it'll look better. Well, for who? For who is it going to look better? Who is it going to benefit? Okay, visual stimulation has nothing to do with spiritual stimulation. And as Christians and as pastors and as leaders in churches, we're supposed to stimulate the soul, okay, for the sake of Christ. Christ gets the glory. But when we're trying to make something look prettier so that people go, oh, that's pretty, let me go there, then you're missing the point. People should want to be going there regardless what the place looks like for the sake of Christ.
Right.
Not that, okay, so we let everything fall apart and, we're in a hole in a wall.
Like, take care of the necessities, but don't go overboard.
Exactly. And there's no need to go overboard. There's no need to get a third row so that you can fit another 1,000 people in there. There's no need for that. But again, our priorities have been set aside to appease the people, because we think just because they fill the seats, that means we have a healthy church. And that's not true.
I think what people forget is that kind of like they should be humble in appearance.
Absolutely.
Because Jesus was a humble person in appearance.
Yes.
And I think by trying to please the world, they forget that we're supposed to act the way that Jesus acted. Not that we could be perfect, but in the ways that.
But we should strive for that. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
It's kind of sad to see how far we've strayed off.
Yeah. And I like that you say we, because we are a part of the American church. And though we may not do it, and there are few, and, you know, the few in comparison to how many people call themselves Christians, right? That we're still a part of that body. And if we're not doing something about it, then we're a part of the problem.
Right.
So we can only do so much. We are trying, you know, again, the reason for the podcast is to make these things known. But in reality, what change has happened? And is there going to be change?
It's funny because I heard the other day, Mom was listening to one of her podcasts. On it, he had said that it's not that we're supposed to be complaining. It's not that I want to be complaining. It's more of we need to be complaining so these opinions and these thoughts and what's happening is heard.
Okay.
So it's not of just saying it so it's out there, but to be able in the best way possible for us to show people what's happening in the darkness.
Well, yeah. How many times we do something and a person doesn't tell us anything, and it's like, well, you should have said something. I didn't know. Mm-hmm. You know, so we take away the excuse of someone saying, I didn't know. It's a good point.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Most Christians today want to, what do you call it? They think that the Bible should live up till today. What do you call it?
Be up to the times?
Yes. How would you respond to that? How does that make you feel?
Okay, so we're talking about progressive,
Yes.
so-called Christians, because I'm sorry, if you're progressive anything, you're not a Christian. And I don't really care how they feel. But so the idea of progressive Christianity is that the Bible is archaic. The Bible is patriarchal or whatever word they want to use, and it doesn't fit for today. So we have to change it to match the time today. We have to make it relevant, right? And no, the Bible says God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. God does not change. So why are we trying to change God? Well, we're not trying to change God. We're trying to change the Bible, they would respond. Mm-hmm. But by trying to change the words of God, you're trying to change who God is. Right. By taking the things that God said they are what they are, you can't change these things. This is sin, this is sin, this is sin. You can't change that and all of a sudden say, well, God, it's not sin to a lot of people today, so let's not do this, right? Let's change this. So progressives, what they've done is take things like the purity before marriage and even purity or the monogamy in marriage and how it's man and woman and how it's so on and so forth. All these things, the church, right, wants to change it again to appease the system of the world, which is the enemy. They want to be relevant to what everyone else is thinking. They're trying to Disneyfy the Bible, okay? And it's not even, it's not even close to being all right. Mm-hmm. Because in doing so, first of all, the end of the Bible says that we shouldn't add or remove anything from it, okay? So you already have plenty of cults that are doing that. But now in this new cult, in this new idea, we're thinking that we can change who God is. Then he's not God. Mm-hmm. So for a person to sit there to answer your question and say, hey, God needs to be more like this, then he's not God.
Yeah.
He's just not. And we need to have enough reverence for God to say, no, he's God. I'm going to not do this. I'm going to do what he says. It's in the sense of, at least in this house, me and Mom have rules. Mm-hmm. Whether you like them or not, they are rules. And that's it. Mm-hmm. Okay? If you see now how they benefit you, great. If you don't, eventually you will. Mm-hmm. Okay? Eventually you will. And that's the thing with the Bible. Like, you may not like it because it doesn't fit the lust of your flesh. But it is not our job to justify ourselves and change and make things more relevant, because God is relevant at all times.
Right. Do you think there are times that people can be too archaic, I guess you think? Not that it's not like in the way that the Jewish people are, where they still do all the sacrifices and
they don't do the sacrifices because they don't have a temple to do sacrifices in.
Oh, right.
But if you're trying to say that people stick, so what you do have is not where they're archaic. The problem is that they've started their own traditions within what God had asked them to do, and they hold on to those things, and they miss the big picture. Like they miss Jesus being here because they were more worried about their traditions. So what happens is that a lot of people will hold on to these traditions, and they have nothing to do with the Bible. So, but because they call themselves, whether Christian or they call themselves Jewish or any religion, okay, people will just lump them up as if they're correct. And that's not the case because they're not following it. So they shouldn't be lumped up in that group. So when people will say, oh, well, what about, the Orthodox? Well, they're not Orthodox, okay? Yeah. They're not. They call themselves that. Doesn't mean they are. I mean, I can call myself a bird, okay? Doesn't mean I'm going to hop on this roof and fly.
No.
Okay, I can call myself anything. It doesn't mean I am it. Now, if my characteristics and what I'm capable of doing matches, okay, what I call myself, then, it's the whole saying, if it walks like a duck, smells like a duck, talks like a duck, it must be a duck, right? Yeah. Well, if it doesn't talk like a duck, it doesn't smell like a duck, it doesn't look like a duck, I don't care if it calls itself a duck, it's not a duck. So that's the issue that we have. People look back and they'll try to lump them up as that. No, but look at all the principles in the Bible. All of them. Okay. How do they not benefit us today? The things that are called sin. Look at the damage that they do. Okay. The things that are, Paul says that all things are permissive, but not all things are good for me. Meaning that I'm allowed to do anything, right? Whether it's food, whether it's dress, whether it's anything, but not all of it is good for me. Why does he say that? Why? And you have to think in that time, right? This is why he said it, and it'll make sense because he was talking about whether it was food or whatever it is. But even today, I can eat anything. I have the freedom to eat anything. If I eat too much of it, it can kill me. Mm-hmm. So though I'm free to do it, doesn't mean I should do it. Mm-hmm. So how's that archaic?
Yeah,
I agree.
It's funny because there's a show I like watching, and in it, the kid is like maybe 8, and he and a bunch of other police officers are gambling with each other, which his dad does not like at all. But he's a smart kid, so he's beating these men. Mm-hmm. And when the dad comes, they all like run off, and the kid gets in trouble. But then he's like, "But I can't, so shouldn't I be able to?" And the father takes his money and puts it in his own piggy bank. He's like, "Hey, you shouldn't be able to do that." He's like, "Well, if I can, according to your logic, I should be able to." Yeah. And he explains to them, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yep.
He knows exactly what that's for.
You guys are talking to each other without using words? That's pretty awesome.
You see that? That's best friend brain. No, I said it wrong.
I just said it right.
I don't know what you're talking about.
She wouldn't know that.
Nor would I.
Is there anything else for me?
There's lots.
There is.
Let's get fun here.
Okay.
If we're going to get fun.
Okay.
He's the fun man. Life of the party.
Mr. Fun.
Our podcast.
Dr. Fun, Joaquin Fun.
Actually, that would be good medicine. Laughter.
Laughter is the best medicine.
No, if I broke my leg, I do not want you standing over me, making me laugh.
Knock, knock.
Your leg on the floor.
Why did the leg break? Oh, no, forget that. Either way.
What type of medicine is this? I'll give you one thing. I won't have to pay for it.
You know what stinks? Sometimes I like stomach pain and gut pain, and then we start watching a comedian. It'll help you. No.
No. I've laughed so hard I've fallen out of chairs.
Laughter kills people. Yeah, it's the best medicine. Even though laughter is the best medicine, it can kill you.
Yes, again.
I don't think it's really the laughter that kills you. It's
Not
like
breathing.
your heart rate going up that's killing you.
So if you're unhealthy, you laugh too much. It can kill you. I wonder if that's true.
Next
Let's
to
give it a try.
Joker.
No.
All right, what is your joke? Not joke, but question you had for Dad.
You see, we're gonna get silly. We'll get silly. If you, all right, if you had one choice to go to work, let's say to work, and there are only 2 vehicles available, you can ride home. It's gonna get crazy. Well, and
I'm already lost.
So if you had to go to work
Yes.
and you only had 2 options of transportation or vehicles, he's about to give you 2 which you can pick from.
Okay.
And
So,
by the way, these are just random choices,
all right.
and it's raining. So here we go. A car with like no
Roof. A
No
convertible.
roof.
Okay.
or a motorcycle, which is cold because you're going fast, or where you're gonna get drenched.
Motorcycle?
I know, but I'm saying he does not have a convertible. Either way, what would you take to work?
The convertible would be safer. Because though it has no roof, it has a windshield, so it'll keep most of the wind away. And the second thing, even though you can get a windshield on a motorcycle, but at least 4 wheels will be on the ground and not 2.
Not two.
So that was pretty simple.
Yep. What is your favorite? Kind of next that.
Why?
Let's do because I know Marvel is Hulk.
Yes.
Marvel superhero is Hulk.
Batman.
So, yeah, I knew that too.
Batman.
That was fear.
For
What's
DC.
your favorite? Yeah. I think he's next to Flash. I think I like him the most. Although I think he's a twist. Batman's a twist off Tony Stark.
He is orphan, rich.
Something else.
Yeah, they bite off each other.
They
Yeah.
fight off each other.
Be possible.
I'm
for
sorry.
Iron
They
Man.
copy each other a lot.
I think that's more painful.
I think.
Well, yeah, someone's getting
How
rich
is
off
there
your
no
idea.
copyright?
Because they change a name here or there or whatever, and it's whatever.
Slade
feel like
Wilson,
DC
Wade Wilson,
They look exactly the same.
Deadpool, Deathstroke. Come on.
I don't know what to tell you.
I think DC steals more from Marvel though.
Yeah, now you just made every geek angry that likes DC.
I know. But I'm going to be honest because that's how I feel.
Okay. Well,
Or say what we want to say.
So what is your favorite? Let's do Marvel movie first. Superhero Marvel movie. Well, isn't that all superheroes?
favorite Marvel movie? Would have to be the Hulk with Ed Norton.
Which one is that?
That would be considered the second one, but it was its own series. The first one, I forgot the actor. That's how bad it was. But the second one was with Ed Norton. And now Ed Norton as a human being is a rotten human being. But he's a very good actor.
It's a lot of them.
David Cross for one.
Yeah. I would definitely say the second Hulk with Ed Norton. Rotten human being and all. He did a good job. He is a good actor.
Is he the one in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
No. They
it's the other
couldn't
guy?
stand him, so they got rid of him. And plus, he wanted too much money, and he wanted to change the whole thing and how they did it. And yeah, he was a prima donna, so they were like, no thanks.
A prima donna. Since
No one really needs me.
since we've got that song stuck in our head, what is your favorite band or solo artist?
Favorite artist?
Solo.
Whether solo or band. Man, so many genres to pick from. It all depends what mood I'm in. See, today what happens with music is that they'll have like 10 good songs, but then they'll have like 2 or 3 songs I just can't stand.
Oh, yeah.
And I would have to say go-to wise would have to be Mercy Me.
Huh.
But again, like they'll have great songs, great things to worship to, and then they go off on some like fluffy non-Christian. Well, it's Christian, they consider it that, but it's like something that God is not. You know, hip hop artist wise, you have some good ones out there, but then again, they all then change their mindset or whatever, who they are. I remember, I think it was, I'm not going to get into that story, but it was an artist who, you know, the music came out, he wasn't very popular yet, and then I got to talk to him, and it was like, oh, you're all about clout, and you're all about wanting to get famous. Okay. You know, and that, again, character has a lot to do with, you know, your music. It's kind of like I don't like rappers who talk about, you know, being gangsters and they don't know anything about it. And it's the same way. I hold the same Christians to the same standard. If you're going to consider yourself Christian, then let your music be Christian. If you're going to call it worship, then allow it to worship God and not what God makes you feel. So out of all of the bands that I would listen to, I would have to say my safest bet would be Mercy Me.
Okay. You said earlier that you don't enjoy many podcasts, or that's not too many that you watch. So what are a few of them that you do like?
None. I will tune into podcasts according to what people send me. Like we were talking about progressive Christians, right? So someone had sent me a link to a certain person's podcast because after I did a show on a certain pastor, it was very popular. So they did it. So they wanted me to see what they were saying. And I was like, oh, so I got to watch in there whatever it was. So on my feed came up this progressive where they were talking to a progressive. And this is why I don't like podcasts, or at least I don't really subscribe to many of them, because what happens is you'll listen to one thing and you're like, okay, you know, they're on point. I like this. And then they do something like that and they'll have someone who's progressive. And instead of telling this person, you know, they're crazy. Okay. That's not Christianity, not even in the closest point of it. Like we have more in common with Jehovah's Witnesses than we do with progressive Christians.
Wow.
So, and he let it ride for an hour and change. Like this was a long podcast and he just let it ride for the sake of inclusivity or whatever the word may be. And it was like, why? Why would you do that? Like you're going hard on this one dude and you're going hard on another pastor because again, it pops into my feed, but yet you allowed this?
Yeah.
Why? So you have that, you have certain things. I don't really tune into a lot of podcasts. I can't say I have a favorite. Now, there are people online that I do like and that I'll watch when they do things, but they're not necessarily a podcast. So again, with the same person that I'm talking about, because now he'll pop into my feed because I watch one video, they think, I must like this guy. Yeah. He did an interview with Sharma. And in doing that video with Sharma, it was cool because I like Sharma's skits. I like the fact that he makes fun of the realities of Christianity today. And I got to see a side of Sharma, right? I think that's how you pronounce his name?
Shama Murma.
Shama Mama?
Shama Murma.
Murma. Like mermaid, murmur.
Murmur.
Either way, right? The dude is very funny. He was things I didn't know. He was a youth pastor at one point. He went through a lot of spiritual abuse. All these things that he was talking about his real life wise. It was like, and again, I liked him before. I really like him now. Like I'd love to have him on the podcast and ask him about his experience going through churches. He talked a decent amount, not even a decent, he talked a bit about it going through his, that interview. But there were so much more deeper things that I wish would have been asked or that he was allowed to speak about. And he's very impressionable. He is a funny guy regardless, like talking wise. So it would be a good conversation to have. But I'd really like to see, and people I think would benefit from hearing his walk through the spiritual abuse, through, his pastors, his father being a minister. He has a very solid family core. He's also homeschooled. And you guys know, you guys watch all the time his skits and stuff like that. Somebody tends to sing them a lot. But he's like really good. Another person that I kind of enjoy some of it. Your mother likes him more. I think, what is it, Blimey Cow or something like that?
Yeah, Justin Jordan Taylor.
Sure. But they'll have certain things, and even though it's geared a little bit more towards teenagers, it's still a lot of things in there that are pretty funny. You have skit guys. You guys don't know about that, but they do stuff and then they sell it, so not a lot of people will get it. But they have some good things out there. So I like watching Christians allowing themselves to be creative. And at the same time, not taking themselves so serious where they think they can't tell a joke. What?
I'm thinking of a Blimey Cow skit.
Which one?
There's one where it's like Thanksgiving and they get the family together and it's grandpa, dad, and then the teenage girl. And the dad's liberal. The grandpa's a Republican, and so they're both fighting, and she's like, can we just stop?
No, it was the other way around. The daughter was Democrat. Dad was like, just stop. And
Daughter was Democrat. So you have these two different, ages just fighting with each other. It was so funny.
No, with Blimey Cow, the thing that still rings true to, because I don't know if they're still doing it or if they stopped.
They still are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, every Monday.
Every Monday? Messy Mondays?
Yes. Those could be...
That shows you how much I get online. But he did the antibiotic thing.
Oh, that was funny.
Antibiotics.
It's the only way.
Yeah, but that was something that since that even came out, we do now. And I think you guys mess with your mother and say, what is it, magnesium or whatever it is?
It's the only way, magnesium.
Good for every day. No.
It's true.
So, things like that is it's wholesome. It's clean. It's safe. Even the stuff with what do they call it? The after school program. I think that's what they call themselves.
Yeah, Shaman's got his own stuff and then his after school program. Yeah.
Yeah. So even when he gets together with them, they'll do things and certain songs. What was one of my favorites? The beat gets sicker, or I sneeze on the beat and the beat gets sicker.
Yep.
And all those songs that he does. It's it's clever, it's cool, it's wholesome, it's funny. The Christmas songs, that is cool. But then when he goes into the newer ones where the televangelist ones, that is so true. And it hits. On his Instagram, he does little skits of the old pastor, the relevant pastor, the this pastor. And though he's joking, I can literally name a minimum of 10 people that I know are that pastor. Okay. The guy who he does the guy who brings up sports, and he'll do a short little clip of how a message would go by that. And I'm I know that guy. In fact, I know a couple of those, and it's funny because it's true, but at the same time, it's not disrespectful either. So it's all right, cool. I can rock with this guy.
Yeah. My favorite thing that he says is that you don't need antidepressants. You need to stay in his presence.
Yes. Yes. But see, that's the things that he does, right? Where he hits these one-liners and they're funny. That to me is hysterical. What was the one he did about an iPhone? It was 2 minutes long, and it was all about iPhones and cell phones, and he was just referencing phones as if he was teaching a message. And I'm wow. I could probably think of 10% of that. Everything else is how did you even come up with that or even put that together? Like, what are you doing at home, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, let me grab a pen and paper. This is gold. Like, wow. Okay.
That reminds me of one he did. It was a commercial about for a new cologne.
Babe.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say baby toupee.
That was
Baby toupee.
we had to watch it with each other. Just wait, but no. It
Oh my
was
gosh, you get so
new
bad.
cologne, wild locust and honey.
Oh, okay. Okay. Like if he was back there.
Oh,
It was crazy. And he was like in a hallway. It was all like,
wall dancing.
yeah.
That was insane.
Oh please,
I got you go with that one.
no please. He's just crazy, and he really
He's a genius. Isn't he crazy?
a crazy genius.
The homeschool song with PD or
yeah.
PD or whatever his name is.
PD.
Okay.
Homeschool. It's funny because he does one with PD, and it's one of those Christmas songs, but instead of white Christmas, it's multicolored Christmas.
Multiracial
Oh yes,
Christmas.
yes. Oh my goodness.
Multiracial Christmas.
Oh my good.
It's
That
a Wookiees
one.
Christmas too. It's
Yeah.
a Wookiees Christmas too. Yes, they're not real.
They're not real.
No, that
Try to
one.
be inclusive.
That one was incredible. I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, "Oh snap! Did he really go? He went there. Awesome." No, the homeschool song was good. The what else? The ones that I remember because I'm old and I don't remember a lot. Homeschool. He used to do these little conversations. He said the first time he faked feeling the Holy Spirit.
Oh, the fake feeling tongues.
That was fake speaking
Yeah,
in tongues.
fake speaking in
Which,
tongues.
yes, is blasphemy, but I didn't know what to do.
And he even said the whole Shibata Honda, and I was like, wow, he knows about that. Wherever he's from, I thought that was a Jersey thing. Then, goodness gracious, what else did he have on there?
The cheese story? Melted cheese story?
Yeah, the cheese story.
Cheese isn't even melted. How do they do that? They just
But see, that's another thing. I know that they have a podcast.
Uh-huh.
Ask me how many of them I've seen. One.
one.
Which one was it?
Probably the very first one.
Pastors.
The only one that we've seen is Puppet Pastor.
Oh,
Puppet
you know what?
Pastor.
I think I saw a bit of that. But see, that's the thing with me in podcasts.
That one was
What?
off the charts and how good that was. But Puppet Pastor is one of those
Everything pastor.
famous pastors.
Super
he-
rich.
Celebrity. Because I forgot what pastor.
Well, he did a
says he was
skit
hanging out
with that puppet pastor,
Yeah.
right? And PD gets fired. Yeah, that was really good. But see, because of the ADHD, I only have this much attention span. So like I'll tune into something, and if it's like 2-3 minutes, great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm good with that. But a lot of these podcasts, they'll start off strong and it'll go down. Like your mom is the podcaster. Very few people, like everyone likes Joe Rogan. I like that on YouTube. I get 5-minute skits or bits of Joe Rogan's podcast because I don't like everything that's said on there, and I can't stand to listen to a bunch of nonsense before I get to the part that I wanted to hear. Like if I want to hear about a certain fight, it's like garbage, 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 garbage. Hey, the fight, garbage, garbage, garbage. And it's like, oh, goodness gracious. I tuned in for like 2 hours and for 5 minutes you spoke about this in the end. Like, are you kidding me? So they'll give skits and stuff like that. God, let's see. What else?
You are the appendix because you're useless. If you are gone, nobody would miss you.
What is that?
Puppet pastor.
Oh, okay.
All right. Sorry for the Bible signing. Breaking like, I don't have bones. They reach the door for me. Oh, and tell Hannah if she can't
Stand key.
She can't stand staff. We need bigger lights. I will not be outdone by Toby Mac's last concert.
But you know what the sad part is that there are
So
pastors
true.
like that.
The funny thing is when they're doing that podcast with him, he's talking about that I can't remember what other pastor it was, but he's telling PD and Shama how he flies jets with this dude. They both have jet races with this. They're like, wait, you guys fly jets with this dude?
Yes,
And
and
they're
the
like,
pastors do.
And the funny thing is more like
All right,
You
I'll
could
have to
tell-
tune into that one.
It's so funny. And you could tell in their faces, they're like, what's wrong with you? But they're saying like, oh, wow, that's interesting. So funny.
But see, that's the thing. Like, even in that episode, like, I know I saw a little bit of it, but it's comedic genius. They treated the puppet like it was an actual person.
Yeah.
And they interviewed an actual person.
It's
I don't know. And again, I can appreciate a lot of people who don't take themselves serious. And that dude is I like that. And yo, he's my age.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he just turned 20. Like,
No. He's closer to my age than he is to yours.
Wow.
I'll say this. Let's say he's in the middle between you guys and me.
mm-hmm.
So,
Because the after school program was started where he was still homeschooled.
What?
Yeah, he said so himself. They call it the after school
So he
program
was like 17.
because
then.
they had to do it after school.
it's been a while since that's been on.
Wow.
It's been a while.
I like the VeggieTales stuff that they do.
Oh,
Do you tell
dude,
me
the
it?
VeggieTales song.
They have a lot
No
of
cap,
those.
no lie, no nothing, right? I will put the VeggieTales song on my radio in the car because not only is the beat good, okay, but even the cadence and how it's like, yo, VeggieTales. And I'm like, all right, cool, I can rock with this. And I love pulling up to a light and there's like someone next to me and I'm rocking out to a song the same, VeggieTales, and I'm there like,
Have you listened to any of the other VeggieTales ones they've done?
probably.
It's so funny because they do Water Buffalo.
Oh, yes.
That's
Water
so
Buffalo.
crazy.
We have to get you one of those, bro.
He did the whole
Hairbrush?
the hairbrush,
Pants.
huh?
Pants.
Pants
Okay.
is crazy.
I don't remember pants.
It's
Pants.
welcome
pants,
buyers.
pants,
What
pants,
comes next?
pants.
A pair of pants.
With
Slice
striped
your
checks.
text.
Digging
Dig out
your
your
wallet. Dump out your purse. Who will be the one
to buy the first?
Okay.
Oh, just this was
And
like
then
five.
that's the beginning for the VeggieTales actual version. He takes that, does that, and then the rest is like like it's a fashion show, and then showing off these pants. It's so funny. And then there's the pants dance. Do the pants dance? Do the pants
Oh my
dance?
goodness.
It's crazy.
Oh.
Come
Knew
here.
that dude
I
just
wonder
had
why I
sing-
haven't seen a lot of him and PD together.
I don't know.
I haven't, except for Televangelist.
Really?
Yeah. And it's funny because they did a skit together and they were praying together. I think I'm the one that showed you guys this one. They were sitting down with each other.
Oh yeah.
Flexing. Yeah, they were
Huh?
flexing.
Basically, they were flexing. But they were doing it through prayer. And it was
Yeah.
like, at least I'm not like this guy and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then they're throwing jabs at each other. And then they end it all like nothing just happened.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what a great prayer. I was like, wow, that is so true.
Funny.
That is, I've been to pastors' conferences and the couple pastors are praying and they were all talking smack about each other as they were praying. And it's like,
Thank you. The mom marriage is so solid.
Thank you that his pants are checkered and mine are striped.
no, but the whole thing is that you joke. But I remember just sitting there like, am I the only one noticing this? Why am I the only one looking around the room like, damn, like what the heck happened here? Like, whoa. I was waiting for a Jemima joke to come out. I was like, it was bad. So when I watched that, that's what that reminded me of. It's just like, wow.
Wow.
Did you see the one where they did the song? They
The song?
Televangelist.
The television.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, that was good.
I know what you're gonna say. I don't remember the rest of the line. Remember when he gets out of the airplane? Like, I know what you're gonna
But
say.
Pastor was in that.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
he was in the jet. Yeah, he was in the jet. That was really good. Again, like a lot of the stuff that he does was like, and that's the thing. Like, so if you compare Blimey Cow to them, Blimey Cow is a genius in the sense that they didn't do much. Okay, they had a wall in the back that was black,
Yeah.
right? There was nothing going on. Then they would come in and they would do their skit almost like an open mic type thing. They were just there with, after school program and Shama and whatever PD, whatever they do. They'll add certain things. Like when he did Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. They were at Chick-fil-A recording the song or the video. They have this skit that I like. It's them almost like it's supposed to be like a street rap battle, so there's no beat.
Yeah.
And they're going back to each other and it's like, yeah, my Bible is blah blah blah. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
I know that guy. But yeah, so I can tune into a lot of those because we just went on it. I can tune into a lot of those and be content. But when it comes to podcasts, I can't even listen to my own podcast. After a while, and you know what? Sometimes I have to listen to it to make sure it records really well. I'm going to go to sleep within 5 minutes.
I'm getting too boring.
No, I don't have to fast forward. I'm already asleep.
I think it's just more of the attention span thing. Because some people, like sometimes I'm like that because of my ADD, but I enjoy sitting down listening to the podcasts.
Yeah?
But sometimes, it can't, actually I could sit down and listen to a podcast. Actually, I think I'm different because I've seen some people, sit down, but they have to be doing something while listening. But if it's funny, I can just sit there and listen because I'm having a great time. But if I'm learning about something, I'd have to be cleaning or be knitting or doing something to keep myself entertained there.
I think for me, it's the sense of how much I actually care about what's going on. Like through podcasts and stuff, people trying to be funny. Yeah, okay, cool. Like I can sit through a lot of old messages and I'm talking about messages as in a teacher teaching a Bible study or from his pulpit or whatever. And older teachers, I love them. And they'll go on for an hour and a half. One of the longest messages I've heard was about 2 hours. And I could sit through it, stay up, stay alert, stay paying attention. I mean, I'm probably what's keeping me up is I'm taking notes and stuff.
Yeah.
But a podcast, man, 5-10 minutes. If you're not something that I'm engaged to, I like this.
Yeah.
And quick and out, good night till tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I can listen to long messages. Now, I've come to, because I'm trying to tone out everybody at work because I can't stand the stupidity that goes on. I will try to put in a podcast and I'll make it through some of them. And again, but the problem with podcasts is it's stuff that people send me. So it's not I think I'm subscribed to the Duck Dynasty guys, right? And I can listen to about 2-3 minutes of it. Only really when the dad talks. I think Phil is the dad's name.
Yes.
So I can listen to him because he's, boom on point and he's going. But then Jace will chop in and he'll try to be funny. The older brother, the one that's without the beard.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but they don't have him in the show a ton, so I don't know his name.
Okay. Yeah. So that guy, right? I try to listen to him because I kind of pity his testimony and it's oh man, sad. But again, if it's mainly Phil talking, I can tune in and I'll be all right, I'll get it. When they go off on things that they think are funny, it's all right, yeah, I mean, it's cool, but I just, that's not why I tuned in.
Yeah.
I think it's not even a podcast, it's short videos. A guy who talks about different pipes and cigars and things like that you guys don't know anything about that. That's one thing that I'll tune into. There's a motorcycle one because the guy tests out different motorcycles because they have a dealer somewhere in Pennsylvania. I like that one. But again, it's a motorcycle, it's video, so it's stimulating. It's not someone like what we do sitting here.
Yeah.
So that is oh, okay, cool, I can rock with this. I can't tell you how many Christian ones I actually besides. And the only reason I subscribe to the Duck Dynasty one, Notice how I say Duck Dynasty is because I want to give them that subscription on YouTube so that it helps them with whatever. But I've never been able to sit through one whole one.
Really?
Yeah. So after school program, okay, because I think he deserves all the help he can get, especially now knowing his testimony. And I think there's one or two more, but that's basically it. Like, people will be like, oh, you got to listen to so-and-so. And I'll tune in and I'll listen to it. Or, hey, this was decent. But then afterwards, it's like, yeah, no. And then again, it's a lot of, like, weak stuff. I am Heart Cry Ministries. They put a lot of pole washer stuff on. I'm subscribed to them. The Vody Bachman ones, they'll put them on. I'm subscribed to that. Let's see. What else? And again, those are messages, not podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't really think of Wretched, which is kind of like a podcast. You know the guy's voice. He was on Drive By History. I think he's the guy in Drive.
Through History?
I think it's Drive By or Drive Through, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah,
So
Drive
funny.
Through History. Yeah.
I forget what that guy, the guy who talks there. I think it's the same guy from Wretched. I'll tune into that once in a while.
He's so funny.
No, he's hysterical. Something Farrell or something like that. I forget what his name is.
I know who you're talking about. I just can't remember his name.
And he's definitely got a face for radio. No, I mean, he's got a voice for radio.
I wish I knew his face.
Maybe he's saying something they don't understand.
No. That's what they used to say to ugly people.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, well.
Whoa. Great night, got music in my hand.
Well, guys, what do we got going now? I think it may be time.
No.
Do you have anything else for me?
What's your favorite book? And I mean, like,
Yeah, there you go.
there's quite a few there.
The one all the way on top.
Oh,
We were
wow.
about to say you're not allowed to pick that one.
No, just don't do
How
that.
am I not allowed to pick the Bible? It is the best book ever.
It is the best book ever. But that's why I'm not letting you to
But it's the only book that I can say I pick up
Second
over and
best.
over again. Okay, second best book would have to be Fox's Book of Martyrs.
What?
It's in here somewhere. So Fox's Book of Martyrs is the guy who wrote it, last name Fox, and he basically gives a historical run-through of all the martyrs throughout time. And he starts, with the apostles, then he goes into the early centuries or whatever people want to call them before Reformation. Then he goes into, martyrs from the Reformation and afterwards. He just really describes a lot of these people who died for their faith, and it's really encouraging to see, these are people who believe so much that they were willing to trade their life in because to them it was real. And we don't have that much anymore. We really don't. And not in this country, at least.
It's just kind of crazy because those people, those martyrs, had like their own lives to think about, their own families' lives, and the thoughts were so revolutionary if you think about it for the times.
Yeah.
But today, I don't really think it's that revolutionary anymore.
Well, not in this country. If you go to China,
Yeah.
Russia, a lot of Arab countries, they're being beheaded and so on and so forth to this day. And just for the sake of being Christian.
Yeah.
So.
But in America, we have so much freedom now. Although it's trying.
Well,
to
the
be
problem
taken
with
away.
freedom is that now it goes the other way.
Yeah.
So it's like we're free to do anything. So hey, let's throw out the Bible and just take Satan's book and call it the Bible. That's why every country outside of this country makes fun of us because we're supposed to be a Christian nation, yet we example nothing Christian based.
Oh.
So look at Hollywood, look at Disney, look at everything that's going on. People think that's a Christian nation and that's what they produce.
Yeah. You know what's funny about Hollywood and all those movies? That like, I want to say 19th century, like the beginning of it when they first started making those movies.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't even allowed to make movies that made people cry.
Yeah, I know.
And
But how else do you sell something at first? You got to tie it up into morality. You got to understand, in those days, if you were immoral, they actually had the goal to tell you, yo, no.
yeah.
Okay, that's not happening.
But I mean, like a basic, like, let's say Inside Out. Out of all honesty, I'll be completely honest, I cried when Beanbon died. They weren't allowed to make movies like that.
Yeah.
So, but the first year when they decided that you were able to do PG movies, rated R movies, you know, they had the section, more rated R movies came out than PG.
Absolutely. Because most people are depraved, and that's what they think is rated R things.
So it's just like a lot of times I've seen that people are given freedom and they use it horribly. And so everybody else who really deserves that freedom, they get stripped of the joy of getting to use the freedom.
Yeah. Freedom is such a pure thing, and it's something that we shouldn't have to fight for, but it was fought for. Mm-hmm. And now we've smeared it because we've taken that freedom and turned it against itself in a sense. Like, we've perverted it in such a way that it's almost like we don't deserve freedom. Mm. But every human should have freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite author, though, is A.W. Tozer.
Knew it. He so much books.
Yeah, there's a lot of A.W. Tozer back
Portable
there.
Tozer, Tozer Speaks 1 and 2. What?
Yeah, no, you can read them. You're not going to get to the end of it. Let's see. We got Tozer, we got Spurgeon, we got Wiersbe.
I'm going to ask you a question on how to say this person's name.
Go ahead.
How do you say that person's name? I can't.
Black Abbey.
I don't know if that's how you say it.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Black Abbey.
Maybe say it faster. Black Abbey.
Black Abbey.
Does that make you feel better?
I'm not sure if I'm saying it right.
Yeah, I even have people here that I don't like.
Really?
Like, these Francis Chan books, they're good, but I don't like him as a pastor. Like, I wouldn't go to his church. Actually, he doesn't have a church anymore.
Shaman.
He does homeschools.
Really?
Home churches, which that I do agree with. I'm not a fan of Ray Comfort in a sense. Like, I like him, but I'm not a huge fan of his, but I love the Evidence Bible. They do good work at Living Waters.
Oh.
Then Piper, I love Piper. I have Ravenhill, who's probably my favorite pastor ever.
Oh.
Let's see. What else? Greg is all right.
Yeah,
Timothy Keller, I don't agree with his new stance on the political climate that we're in, but good books. Oswald Sanders is really good. Oswald Chambers is really good.
Do you like Henry H. Halley?
Haley?
Yes.
Yes, that is the handbook, Haley's Handbook or whatever. Bible handbook. Very good. Like, if for your age, I would say that's a good commentary to have. It's a lot of pictures, a lot of cool things in it. It's not necessarily a commentary, but it's really good addition to the things that you'll learn in the Bible.
If there was one person you can interview on your podcast,
Okay.
and I mean,
You did ask that, but if she asks it different, I'll answer it.
one person that is still alive, who would you want on your podcast?
That all depends. What is the podcast geared towards? Like, if it's a pastor that I respect and love and so on and so forth, I couldn't pick one person because I'd actually like to have a room, right? Like this room here set up. And being that it's 4 chairs that I normally would go with,
Yeah.
I would have to say I'd love to have Paul Washer, Vodi Bachman, and I'd have to pick the 4th one out of whatever. So my 2 favorite pastors today living, Paul Washer, Vodi Bachman. I'd love to interview not only just one of them. If I could have both of them at the same time, I'd be the happiest guy in the world. Like, I'd be sitting here in the middle, like, because they're both very solid spiritual fathers for me in the sense I don't even know them. It's just through the messages, the things they've taught, the things I've seen in their lives. Like, Vodi Bachman talks about, what a father should be. And then you see the product of who his children are and the way his family structure is. And it's like, yeah, not only does he preach it, he obviously lives it. And I love that. Paul Washer, he lives such a life that is like, and you look at Paul Washer, he's kind of geeky with the way he dresses and so on and so forth. But that's who he is. Like, he's up front, that solid, that clean cut guy. But when he teaches the scripture, he's a no nonsense kind of guy. And it's like, wow. Yeah. If you're going to talk about, like I said before, I'd love to sit down with like Sharma or even PD. I don't know much about PD except that he's on there. But just Sharma and listening to his, what was it? Just his testimony. My goodness, I couldn't say the word. It was like, wow, I'd like to sit with that guy and really pick his brain on what he went through and how that didn't veer him from what I consider to be his ministry. And it's the sense of bringing biblical knowledge things and a lot of cool things in a humorous way. He's kind of like that stand-up comedian that you guys love to watch.
Tim
Hawkins or
Tim Hawkins.
Like,
I always confuse him with Tom Hawkins.
yes. Well, I don't know who Tom is though. But even like that guy, like if you were to say stand-up comedian, well, he's really the only Christian guy that I'm like, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
There's other ones that are good, but that guy is out of his mind.
Yes.
Okay. And his songs, so clever. Hello, Delilah. Like, come on,
Bible
guy.
story, kids.
If you're talking about an actor, let's say outside of Christianity, just like a Hollywood actor, it would have to be Mel Gibson, right?
Yep.
If you're talking about musician that I would like to interview.
Toby Macaroni.
Hey, what's wrong with you?
I'm playing.
No, don't even mention.
Shama. I got that.
Toby Macaroni.
No, thank you. I don't even want to breathe the same air as that guy. God bless him and all, and what he does, that's his thing. That's cool for him and whoever likes him. Not for me. I'm not into nursery rhyme hip hop. Man, musician. Still alive. Let's see. I don't know. I would really actually have to say, man, I don't know any musician that is like, you know what? I'd have to go with someone like Stephen the Levite or Timothy Brendel. Because one thing I do like about their hip hop is that they stick to the Bible. Yes, it's all Reformed Calvinist stuff, and I'm not a fan of that. But at least they're true to who they are. And the stuff that they put out is legit stuff that you can listen to. And it is Bible, what they're saying. I don't see them pulling out of it. It's just really one-sided.
Right.
But artist-wise, I would have to say them. Plus, they seem to have a story to tell.
Oh.
So, yeah, outside of that, I couldn't, it's hard to say this one above all.
Yeah.
Because understand, I do spiritual abuse. I do homeschooling stuff. If I were going to do a homeschooling one, I would like to, the curriculum we first started with, the creator of that one, I'd like to talk to him. He's got a cool story. I've heard his testimony on a CD we bought. I bought it for your mother, and obviously she left it in the car, and I had no choice but to listen to it. Him, when it comes to, Bible studies and doing things like that, I don't really care who I speak to as long as they're on point. So there's so many, the only two pastors I can talk to are probably Vodi and Paul Washer. I do like Piper, I don't agree with a lot of like Matt Chandler and all the celebrity pastors. Actually, one person I do like, I just don't know how long I can take his voice, is Jack Hibbs.
He doesn't like his voice either.
He doesn't like it either? Well, that's something we have in common. A great teacher.
Yeah.
Solid things. I think out of the whole Calvary Chapel movement, he is the only pastor that I can say that guy's got goal. That's a man's man. And not that I agree with everything necessarily. But man, that's a dude that to me is like, wow, that dude is solid. If I wanted to talk to someone funny about the things, I'd probably say someone like Pancho or something like that, because Pancho's very funny. But again, solid wise, like I'd have to go with him in that avenue. But again, there's not many pastors that I can say I agree with a lot of the things that they say.
I don't think I'm really bothered with Jacob's voice because of my voice.
Your voice is not bad.
Super voice, dude.
When you start, when you start making like jokes and stuff, and you start getting silly, your voice gets a little annoying. But it has nothing to do with the tone of your voice. It's just the fact that you haven't stopped talking.
Trademark that quickly.
All right, so I'll give you guys one more question because I am old and tired.
All right.
I have it. No. You asked a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
All right. If someone told you like you should watch this, or listen for like an episode you could do for a podcast, and you were listening to it, what is a way you would like try do with your hands or like mess around with when you're trying to concentrate? What's wrong with you? But no, what would you like do to concentrate if you were listening to someone? Like just like a podcast, because you said you have a short attention span. What would you do to
Not a short attention span, is that they're boring.
Well, that too. I would have to say it's taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the key, because I've heard some teachers that are god awful boring. But I respect them as a teacher because they teach a solid teaching. It's not boring, but very easy to fall asleep to. Is Chuck Smith. Not only are they long messages, which I don't mind long, but it's his pause, the cadence of his voice, how slow he goes. It would be like torture if I wasn't taking notes. Because he's got a good voice that is nice and stuff. Like that's it. Like just a perfect voice for putting someone to sleep. He teaches very slow. Like there's this joke about how he teaches where they had to speed him up for the college version. Okay. They literally run it 1 or 2 decibels faster or notches faster so that the college kids wouldn't get bored and fall asleep.
Wow.
Okay. Because he teaches, it's a very slow cadence. But the good thing about the way he teaches is that you understand everything he is saying because he's not rambling on. So for me, whether it's Chuck or really boring teachers or just something that, I've been sitting on my rear for like 2 hours, is taking notes. If I'm talking to a person, it's a lot harder to do. I have like some type of sleep apnea or something. If I'm having a conversation with someone and it's really like I'm trying to be nice and hear someone out, but they're killing me, like it's just not interesting at all, it's whatever, I'll literally start nodding out right in front of them. Like, it's bad. And I've done that to a lot of... Oh, goodness gracious. I'll put it to you like this. One of the churches that we used to go to, when we first started going there, man, the teaching was on fire. And he can go on if he wanted to. I'm there. I'm rocking. Amen. The whole 9. After a while, I don't know what happened to him. Maybe, because he was regurgitating everything he taught before that, he wasn't depending on the Spirit or whatever his deal was. But it was just regurgitation of something I already heard. I couldn't stay up at church. And I tried hard. I'd even get up in the middle of like teaching just to kind of move. I'd pretend to have to go to the bathroom, to go for a walk. Because I didn't want to be disrespectful because I always sat towards the front. Mm-hmm. But and Mom would elbow the hell out of me. So, and this is when I learned that. At first, he would teach such good stuff that I was taking notes. When he started regurgitating everything, I never pulled out my notepad because I already wrote this stuff down years ago. Why am I going to write it down again? So there was no reason for me to pull out my notepad, and that's when I started.
Not enough.
Yeah, and Mom, bang, elbowed me hard. Yo, your mom does not elbow soft. It's like, bang. I think at one point she elbowed me so hard I just jumped up and screamed something, and then I had to act like, But I've come to realize, even with boring teachers, if I sit down and take notes, I'll do fine. Mm-hmm. Gentle people, this has been fun.
Well, this has been Two of a Bunch, or One's Blind. And I hope you enjoy. Please like, subscribe, and share.
And please be nice to the like button. Show it some love.
All right, bye.
Sayonara.
What was that?
It's sayonara.
God bless you guys. Enjoy the rest of your evening, day, whatever time it is where you're at. God bless you.
Thank you for dropping by. Please remember to subscribe, to share, like, and to catch the next one.